Shalom Aleichem, peace upon you all. Thank you, Darwin, and thank for Trinity Channel for having us and focusing on this issue. Actually, this occasion, these events are happening since 80s of last century, since 40 years ago or so, and there was a deal between the Iraqi government during Saddam's time and Turkey that Turkey can come 10 kilometers inside Iraq to attack the PKK. And so these villages are living this situation since then, like since 3 to 4 decades are living this situation, and it caused like fleeing the people to diaspora, to the west, to some of them to the big cities. So this trauma, this situation that the Assyrians are facing, specifically in the borders between Turkey and Iraq, is going on since decades. And the thing here is like the fight has been brought to us. We are not part of this fight that's happening. So if we may say it like that, there is a Kurdish group is standing against Turkey, and it's coming to our towns and villages to fight Turkey in I don't understand how the way is, and at the same time Turkey is attacking these areas.
PKK. What is the PKK? And I would like you and Athra Kado also to chime in on that, and I want his opinion on the PKK as well as yours.
Yeah, so the PKK is translated to as the Kurdistan Workers' Party, and it's a left party, and it's separated in mostly is in Turkey and Syria, and now in northern Iraq. So it started actually in Iraq. It started at 80s, so it already affected in Tur Abdin, which is in the border on the side of Turkey, on the border between Iraq and Syria, and Turkey in the middle. And also in Syria, they are like, we had many news that happened by that area that's controlled by the YPG, which is a branch of the PKK, which
Correct.
is a human rights violation, closing schools, our own schools, forcing people underage to involve in the military, to serve in the military and fight Turkey and ISIS in that period of ISIS. So basically, it's under the cover of Communist Party, if we may say, but it's not really accepting any other nationalities. It's what we are living either in Iraq by the Iraqi Kurdish parties, and that raised since 90s. So even the people catch that and started treating us as second class or third class people. Like when you walk in the street, if you don't speak Kurdish, then you are like, or people look at you like, why you don't speak Kurdish? You are in Kurdistan. And even if we start from the name of Kurdistan, it means the land of the Kurds. So whoever is in this land is Kurdish. So basically, that's a racist name, if we may say, because not everybody in what's called Kurdistan is Kurdish. So you asked also, Nahrain, that if it could happen that Kurdistan will be a country. In my opinion, as much as they will continue these groups, radical groups, of course, not all the Kurds are the same, but if these radical groups of Kurds continue being racist and trying to make everybody, like calling us Christian Kurds, calling the Yazidis Yazidi Kurds, and then like that. So if they continue in this way, then I don't think that in the whole world there is a racist country that can survive for a long time. And we saw the Saddam's time that he was trying to Arabize everything, and he didn't continue. So as much as you will continue keeping yourself on the top and trying to be better than everybody by forcing, you can't survive. And we can see the situation currently is not stable in this area. So basically, these Kurdish parties, either PKK or YPG, the part of it, or the parties in Iraq, are going on the same direction, which is showing that they are not racist and they accept everybody. But if you go deep, you will see many actions that they are against the people, including land grabbing in our village, forcing our people in a way or another to leave that area, those villages that had been living for thousands of years, and currently making Nineveh Plain, the place that I'm living in, making it as disputed areas, that someday it was Kurdish and it was Kurdistan, and now they want to reclaim it, which is, we don't have any Kurdish thing here, like neither a grave or a historical thing or anything, but they forcibly, by bringing the force here and controlling the area, they are, and also the propaganda that they spend millions of dollars on in the media in the West, and the lobbying, false lobbying that's happening. They are showing, they made it as a picture that this is Kurdistan and the Arabs are taking from them, which neither Arabs nor Kurds are in this area. It's Nineveh Plain, historically Assyrian, and the two nations that are from Mesopotamia, from Assyria, are the Assyrians and the Yazidis. So there's no Kurds here historically.
And so
Yeah.
so Athra, give me more of your background to the area, your background specifically in your connection to the area. I want to know more about you and how you say you were born in Iraq. So can you give us more of your connection to the area personally?
Well, I'm born in Al-Qosh, a town in northern Nineveh. It's in the border between the governorate of Nineveh and Dohuk. And historically, this is an Assyrian town, and after Christianity, we were the first nation that converted to Christianity. So we have many historical places. We have many connection, like so many connection between even before Christianity and after Christianity in this area. You can see them, you can watch them by your eyes. And my full-time job is I teach the Assyrian or Syriac language in the government school, and also involved in anything that serves our people here, because we lost a lot. Like, just in the last 2 decades, we lost more than 1 million people from Iraq only, and that account in 2 decades increases, getting married and children and so on. So we basically lost more than 1/2 or 2 million people just in 2 decades. And if you get back to 5 decades or centuries, then you will see that what's happening today, the struggle that we are facing, never end. And especially the last shock on our people, it was when ISIS attacked Nineveh Plain, which is the center, the capital, if we may say, of historically and even today of the Assyrian, Chaldean, Syriac people in Iraq and all our homeland, in all Assyria. So many of our people left after 2014 also, and the trauma affected our people. And the trust of our neighbors, as we saw our neighbors cooperating with ISIS, or the militaries around us, that they promised us and international community that they will protect us. Actually, they were running before the civilians.
Oh, wow.
So they were like, in this area in Nineveh Plain, there was the Peshmerga was controlling this area. As I said, it's the territory. This territory in Nineveh Plain is administratively part of Iraq, but after 2003 they came and control it. So they were controlling militarily this area, and when ISIS attacked in 2014 August 6th, we were like, our people were running to the Hawk, because it's on the north, and the security forces that's supposed to protect them, they were racing with them by the car. So by that we saw that everybody left us, and even those that promised to protect us, they were before 6th of August, they were preventing the people from Nineveh Plain to leave. Like there
Oh,
was
wow.
many occasions happened. For example, in Teleskov, they shot one of the guys that wanted to leave the town. After we heard what happened to the Yazidis in third of August, people get afraid, because ISIS was in Mosul, which is about 15 minutes far from Teleskov by driving. So people get afraid and started leaving. So the Peshmerga prevented them from leaving the town. And so after that, in 2 days or 3 days, they left, and without telling the people. And there was hundreds of thousands of the Assyrians and the Yazidis in their town. So we had been saved by God, that ISIS didn't reach our towns before us leaving the towns.
People. So at this particular point, how much damage has been done? Do we know the numbers? Maybe Mr. Cato can chime in. Athra, you can chime in and give us some of the. Do we know the numbers from the recent bombings? It's not getting any type of media coverage. This is an urgent thing. This is why this interview is here, so we can talk about this and we can get the details and what's happening on the ground in northern Iraq to the public.
Yeah, the recent bombing, actually, it comparing it to the ones before, was little less, or the ones before were bigger and affected more. But specifically by this bombing, by the last campaign, if we may say, that started by Turkey against PKK, before 2 days there was 13 villages that were emptied at all for 2 days, and because of the bombing, because they could have stood. Even that, since years they are just hearing the bombing near them, but it's not really like, when they leave the village, it means that it's on the top, like it's so near them that it could affect them directly in their house or in their church, or like horrifying them. But if you go, like, for example, today there was just bombing, and ironically, one of the people of Chelik, one of the villages that they were emptied, he was like, well, today it was fine, and we tried to return to the town. It was fine comparing to the other days, because the bombing wasn't really near us. So it's like, there is bombing, there is PKK around, there is actually in some village that they come inside the town. Like one of the times I saw it by my eyes, that they are in open area making a party in one of our towns. It's like there is a fight between you and Turkey, like PKK and Turkey, and Turkey is bombing wherever you are. So they are partying in the middle of the town. So that's really bringing the fire to our town and using our people as human shields. But at the same time, Turkey is saying, wherever and whenever is the PKK, we will bomb them. So it's like two sides fighting, and we are in the middle continuously. So just lately, thank God there was no casualties from our people, and they didn't lose a lot of the farming land that had been burned in the years before. For example, in Nala Valley and other areas, there was just one of the cars of a teacher had been affected by some scraps, but the bombing was really near the town of Beersheba, and there was a video published that you can hear the children crying from because it was so near the village. And that's like, thank God there was somebody to record that video, and then it became like it reached many places in the world and the media and so on. But this is continuously happening. And the other times, like now, uh, like the people of these specific towns in the border, the 13 villages, for example, that are mentioned down, are not really practicing their life. They have gardens in the mountain, they have farming places in the mountain. They can't go because they are afraid that uh, the airstrikes may think they are PKK and they will bomb them. They have shepherds, they have sheep to go in the mountains to feed them. They can't anymore since many years. So it's like economically attacking them, like affecting them, and psychologically, and from all sides is affecting them.
Question: who's running Iraq right now, as far as the prime minister, the government? What's the agenda there, and who's running things? Can you guys both give me a perspective on that? Especially you, Arthur. I want to know your perspective because you're there, and I want to know what's the agenda here. What's really happening?
Well, supposedly the prime minister should be leading Iraq, and he is the commander, the highest general commander of the Iraqi forces. But the
What's his
corruption in
name?
Iraq,
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you. What's his name? If you can just describe
Kadhimi,
him.
Kadhimi, he took his position lightly in a few months ago. Uh, but the situation was after 2003. It was normally like that because, if we may say it in this way, that many countries are fighting each other inside Iraq. So the influence of Iran is so big in the government, and many parties are having these security forces, these militias are controlling wherever they want and doing whatever they want. So uh, the corruption in Iraq, in between these political parties, these political groups, that some of them are radical, some of them are racist, and many of them are following other countries, are like uh, bringing the agenda of Turkey inside Iraq, Saudi Arabia, then Iran, then like each group fighting the other group for another regional country. So there was some steps that happened that we don't really see a good result of, that the Iraqi army or the borders, they call them the borders guards, that are in KRG, in these borders between Turkey and Iraq, in the Kurdistan regional government, uh, they had been enforced, like they brought some enforcement in the borders, but that didn't really affect so much because there is really big areas especially in our towns, that are controlled by PKK. Like even the Peshmerga can't go there without calling or contacting this PKK. While this is an Iraqi territory, and it's administratively and by Iraqi constitution controlled by the KRG. So it's like you must see some forces on the ground from this country, but you can't. You will see just, and in some areas they even put a checkpoint of PKK. Like you can see a checkpoint, they will check your card, your ID card, and to go to your own village by somebody you don't know where he is from or what does he want to do, but you know something that he is bringing bombing from uh, Turkey. And if you stand against them, and as a people, as the civilians there, they are afraid to stand against this group because they might take them, they might kill them, or injure them in a way or another.
Are we going to get to this biblical worldview as far as Iraq and the Middle East?
We are we believe in that, and actually we are working on it. Even that on the ground, we are facing many occasions. If we focus on the political side, that we are facing during the last years, and we were thinking after 2003, we were believing that the next Iraq will be better, and we believe in peace. We are Christians, so we believe in peace. Uh, we want to give love and to receive love at the same time. So we were hopeful that we will see something to change for our people after 2003. But after that, we saw something else, that it became worst by especially uh, from the religious side, by Al Qaeda and other groups. And then here in northern Iraq, we are facing racism, that you can see that the KRG is showing that they are protecting Christians. So yeah, you are praying and that's it. I can put pressure on you, but yeah, you can go to your church. That's it, and that's your life. So yeah, actually, I just want to add something, because Nahran mentioned many things, that in all this area in northern Iraq, the only tomb, the only building that's still surviving is Nahum in Al-Qush. And not just because it's protected, as the people of Al-Qush used to protect Al-Qush regularly from anybody. Nobody else did. Like literally nobody protected Al-Qush during the history. But it's the opposite. Many times the army wanted to attack Al-Qush, but the people stood against. And so not only that's protected, but in other areas had been these shrines and these religious Jewish areas, in addition, and beside the Christian areas, sites had been destroyed in all other areas in northern Iraq and in all Iraq. But the only thing that happened to, which is beside my house, actually, we are neighbors to the building of Nahum Tom, and the only thing that affected it, because there was no renovation, and because the government used to prevent the people to renovate it, so it collapsed.
Oh, wow.
It collapsed parts of it, and now, thanks to God, it's being renovated in a very professional way. What I wanted to mention, that yes, we want a state that we have power in, but even a small part of it, that if we are calling, like while we talk with politicians, while we talk with the media about this point of state, they are like, well, you are a minority. Even that, if we get back to it, that there is a reason that we became minority, but we go forward with them. In 2014, there was a decision by Iraqi ministers' council that to create a new province for the minorities, and the majority in this province would be the Yazidis and the Syrians. So it was in January. Then after 6 months, we faced ISIS in the area, so everything was stopped. After we get rid of ISIS in this area, now in the plain, the herd of the Assyrian Christians of Iraq had been divided to two parts. That part of it is controlled by KRG, that they are claiming it's part of KRG and it's Kurdistan, and they are pushing for the agenda that already Nahran said, the mayor of Al-Qush had been changed forcibly on our people. And even that, we demonstrated, we protested 3 times, and we stood against it. And even the court of Iraq brought back the old mayor, but they didn't care. Actually, when he went to his office, they beaten him and kicked him out of the office, like government office. So the thing that we were aiming at, and to be logical politically, to have a province that could serve the minorities in the area administratively and militarily, to have our own forces, which we have a proof that we are, like, we have a Nineveh Plain protection units, and it is serving and protecting one of, or the biggest town in Nineveh Plain, which it contains currently 30,000. Before it was 55,000 before ISIS. Now we have 30,000 people that are security profile of that town, controlled by the Nineveh Plain Protection Unit, which is an Assyrian Christian force, and officially recognized and being paid by the government. So this force, you can never see any, like since 2014 until now, you will not see anything being used, like some actions that are against human rights or anything like other militias are doing. So we have a great example how we are able to protect ourselves, how we are able to administrate ourselves. But the main thing that we want to have is getting rid of, if we may call them, the outside agenda. We don't want any Kurdish agenda to like, especially the racist Kurdish agenda to come in our areas. We
Correct.
don't want any Iranian influence in our area. So what we are asking currently is a province, only a province, which we are not getting, because the surrounding political parties and sides in Iraq. So if some countries are really not being like focusing on the number of the Assyrians, we are looking for province. So just let these sides that are fighting in our land go out from our areas. That's what we are asking for. And the most support that came, I would say it clearly, that majority of the support that came to the KRG in the name of the Christians, of Assyrians, Chaldeans, Syriacs, had been used politically against these people.
Give us your solutions, what you're urging for individually, and we'll wrap this up.
Actually, there is a political plan. Like the what's in the Bible is the biggest goal, which is we believe that the Bible is giving the peace to the world. So what's written there is the, if we may say, the great solution for the area. But politically, we are really working for some steps. As I said, officially, the basic decision is taken by the Iraqi government that to have our own province for the Assyrians and Yazidis in Shabak, and there is some other Arab village and so on. So establishing this new province, having our own local men to protect us, and these men to be supported directly on the ground, and not to have a militia or some force outside the government. No, to be part of the government of Iraq's security forces, but to have our own men, our own officers, that we are able to protect ourselves. We are able to do that. Also, that the administration side to be controlled by the people of the area, from the Yazidis, Assyrians, all like according to the democratic way. And then after that, to make it this province to be protected as a safe zone, and at the same time having international offices to watch, supervise, to supervising the area to prevent this, as I said, these that affected us since 2003, which are the racist and radical groups, and outside, like the regional countries influence in the area. So basically, that's what we need. We don't need boots on the grounds. We just need the support. We are the boots on the ground, and we are those people who can administrate ourselves. We created the administration. We created everything since thousands of years. So we can do it today, and in that way, that's the only way we can survive here. And as you mentioned, Darwin, that we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time left for our people in our homeland. And about the website that is showing here, there is a campaign made by the Assyrian Aid Society. It's based in Iraq, and it has branches in America, Australia, and other Western countries, that is serving the Assyrian people from the humanitarian side. And they made campaign to help these people in these villages to have better way of living, even that we can't stop the bombing currently, but at least help the people to have better tools for agriculture, for their way, their jobs, their way of living. I just want to say, whatever happens in Iraq, Syria, Turkey, and Iran, just think about us, because it always affects us. It's always,
Absolutely.
even that it's like Arab mentioned, Kurds, Turks, whatever nation is mentioned, we are there affected, and most of the time negatively, not from the positive things, but always from the negative things.